Good morning. And I say morning because we're coming to you a little earlier than we usually do. Welcome to the Phil Taylor Jones Show. We're going to be focusing in on something that happened in Killeean, Texas, within our crazy educational system. Once again, this story comes to us by way of our friend Oscar Hildebrand. And again, Oscar, we thank you so much for allowing us to kind of jump in on your story here. I'm Phil Taylor Jones, your host, and let's get to class right now. It would seem that a young student was suspended for doing a good thing. Let me just run this story down for you. This happened in Killeean, Texas, and the student's name is Anthony Rueles. He's 15 years old. He's an 8th grade student at Gateway Middle School. Now, let me just quickly set this up. There was a student, female student, that had difficulty breathing because she has asthma. She fell to the floor, unconscious, and the teacher, instead of springing into action and getting this child some help by either calling to the nurse to call 911, or calling to the office to call 911, or just physically picking up the student and taking her out, sat there waiting on a response from the nurse. Whether it was an email or she had previously called and waiting, I find ridiculous. So this 15-year-old kid, Anthony, he said, fuck this, pardon my language, his, not mine. We can't wait. I ain't got time for this. I got to get my friend out here. So he scoops up the kid and walks out of the class and takes the child to the nurse. Delinquency or heroism? I'd go for the latter. This guy was a hero because the certificated teacher sat there on her bum and did bloody nothing for this student that could have lied there, died. Now, instead of being specially commended for his bravery and his heroism, the kid gets suspended. Now, the mother admits that her son is no angel, that he's been in trouble before, and he'll probably be in trouble again. But in this instance, the response taken against her son was ludicrous. The kid did nothing wrong. Okay, he may have said the word fuck. All right. I don't condone that, but you look at today's society, the kids say that at the drop of the hat. You look at telly, it's said at the drop of the hat. You listen to music, it's said at the drop of the hat. Is it right? No, but it's something that happens. Now, he left the classroom without authorization. Was he going to smoke a joint? No. Was he going to, just ditch class to go hang out in the bathroom with his buddies or somewhere on campus? No. He went to save a human life, to see what was wrong with a friend. Above all, your friend's life is paramount against any stupid law there is, and certainly in this case. In fact, that teacher should have been suspended for not doing her duty. A teacher's duty is not only to teach the children, but to make sure they are safe. I know that more than anybody because I was a former teacher of theater arts. And paramount, if a kid gets hurt, that kid is paramount. You get someone to cover your class, you get that kid out of there, quick, fast, in a hurry. You get on the intercom in the school, they have little phones in the classroom. You send another student while you're there attending. If it's something dire, we all have cell phones these days. You get on the phone, you call 911. If the nurse isn't available, you spring into action. You don't sit on your butt and look at the child and go, well, I'm waiting on a response from the nurse. That was negligency in the grossest of manners, and that teacher should have been fired and jailed for endangering this child's life. Now, you remember, once again through Oscar, we brought you a story about an administrator taking a group of students to a sex porn shop as a field trip. Our schools are ridiculous, and that there's no denying that. If you look at why they are ridiculous, you have to go to our own federal law. Maybe many of you will agree with me, when people come to our country, it is upon them to learn our language so that they can become functional in our country. Well, in 1974, something very interesting happened with a Chinese group of students. And I guess the major student that family brought this to light was named Lau, L-A-U. It was Lau versus Nichols in 1974. And what happened was there was a civil rights case brought by this Chinese bunch of students living in where else? San Francisco, California, who had what the district terms as LEP, L-E-P, which stands for Limited English Proficiency. The students claimed they were not receiving special help in the school due to their inability to speak English, which they argued they were entitled to under Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of '64. Should have never even been put in there. Government screwing us over in our schools because of its ban on educational discrimination on the basis of national origin. Finding that the lack of linguistically appropriate accommodations effectively denied Chinese students equal educational opportunities on the basis of their ethnicity. The Supreme Court in 1974 ruled in favor of the students, thus expanding the rights of these students nationwide with limited English proficiency. The Supreme Court stated that these students should be treated with equality among the schools. Among other things, Lao now reflects a widely accepted view that a person's language is so closely intertwined with their national origin. Some or their ancestors come from that language based on discrimination is effectively a proxy for national origin discrimination. Lao remains an important decision on the 14th Amendment and is frequently relied upon as authority in many cases. The San Francisco Unified School District remains covered by the consent decree that was ultimately entered into the Lao case, and civil rights groups continue to monitor the San Francisco Unified School Districts for the compliance based upon that decree. So, you know, the federal government helps school districts with this lunacy. If students come here and want to go to our schools, they have to learn English. They should learn it. It should be a prerequisite before they bring your scroungy butts over here. I get so tired of our children being pushed behind. They have something that's going around in the country. I know it's big here in California. It's called ESL. Stands for English as a Second Language. Our English students are being pushed in the background while these are being taught our language and slowing down the educational process. Some of the standardized tests are being developed, especially for those who can't speak English. This is ridiculous. Our teachers, some of the good ones, are under so much pressure by this nonsense, this lunacy. It's ridiculous. Here's a couple of quick examples, and then we'll let you get about your morning. I was called upon to take in some students from El Salvador. Now, there were about 120 students that were split up between 3 classes. They kind of interjected them in with my regular class. Now, they spoke no English, nothing. The kids in my class learned to speak English within 6 months' time. They came from NFEP, which is non-fluent English proficient, to FEPS, fluent English proficient. Now, a neighbor of mine, she got an allotment of these students, and because she was a Spanish speaker, her kids never learned English. They were still, well, they went to NFEP, which is non-fluent English proficient, to LEP, limited English. Why? Because she coddled them. She spoke to them in their language. See, those kids knew that were in my class that they better learn English because I didn't know their language and wasn't about to learn it. And they moved on and were reading at grade level and operating at grade level within 6 months. It can be done. Now, there was another incident where I also worked in campus security, and teachers always had to do what's called yard duty, campus security, and watch the students, look out for strangers or what have you trying to enter the campus. Well, I noticed about 10 or 12 big high school students from Los Angeles High School on this campus of an elementary school where I was working at the time. So I jump on my walkie-talkie and try to alert I knew the principal was off campus at a meeting, so I tried to alert the assistant principal. She was nowhere to be found. I had people looking for her, nowhere to be found. So I noticed all of these students, both boys and girls, they went into the girls' bathroom to smoke marijuana. They appeared to be, affiliated with gangs because they had tattoos and, flashing signs and head scarves of different colors and what have you. And so I just surmised that they may have been gang members. I knew for a certainty that none of our students were in there because this was during class time. So all of our students were in class. And since I was in close proximity of this girls' bathroom, I knew for a certainty there were no girls in there. So couldn't find the assistant principal. I locked the door so they couldn't get out. And then I called school police. The police were there within 5 minutes, and we opened up the door, and they, took them into custody for trespassing, illegal controlled substances. One of them indeed did have a gun, and I forgot the other charge. Ditching school. So they took them all into custody. They had to call 3 cop cars, and then they ultimately called a big unit to come and cart them away because there was more than 10 of them. So when the assistant principal did get back to the campus, she called me in her office and she said, "I understand you did something really outlandish." And I said, "What did I do?" And she said, "You locked students in a bathroom." I said, "I locked trespassers in a bathroom to keep our students safe. These weren't our students. These were trespassers." "Yes, but they were students. They were in the 12th grade." I said, and protocol dictates that I call an administrator. "Where were you?" "Well, that's none of your business. That's not unimportant." I said, "No, it isn't. I was here doing my job, keeping students safe. Where were you?" She was off campus on school district time, getting her nails done. But I'm the one that was written up with an unsat for doing my job. So what did I do? I went outside of the district. I didn't ask for any kind of retraction of this unsat on my record. I went to my lawyers, and they took care of business. In fact, she was then written and unsat by not only the school's principal, but the district for being off campus during school time when she should have been there to help take care of this problem. Where are they finding these teachers, these administrators, these idiots that are in charge of our students? As parents, we need to be ever diligent in checking up behind these idiots to make sure that our students are safe. How dare this teacher just sit there on her bum and watch a student non-breathing, doesn't know what the situation is, whether or not she's dying, just sit there on her bum and watch, and let one of her fellow students spring into action and take her to safety, and then he gets suspended for it. If I were the mother of Anthony Rueles, I'd be camped out on my attorney's doorstep, and I would sue the living hell out of that school district, and I'd go after that teacher's credential, and I'd go after her personally and run her ragged ass out of that school district. She should be nowhere near anybody's students being that grossly negligent. This is ludicrous. It's time to wake up and take our American schools back. Make sure that we hire staff, regular staff, educational staff, and certainly administrative staff to be there for our kids. There's too much craziness going on. They're pushing Islamic stuff down our kids' throats. They're not taking care of our kids. They're being grossly negligent. They're pushing illicit and pornographic sex down our kids' throats. They're not wanting to feed our kids. It's I could go on and on with this story and stories like it, but I don't have that much time, and I'm sure you don't have that much patience. But I will close this show out saying, Anthony Rueles, good on you, mate. You did the right thing for the right purpose. And don't ever let anyone look down upon your youth, because you exhibited more sensitivity, more intelligence, more compassion than that stupid teacher ever could have. You're a good guy, and you should have been commended, not suspended. You're a good human being, and to your mother, you raised a good son. Yeah, he may have done a few little, quirky things. Kids do that. But you obviously raised a good son. Sticks by his friends, springs into action when one of them are down. I wouldn't mind having a friend like Anthony Rueles to have my back should I get in dire need. Good on you, mate. We thank you for joining us, getting a little frog in my throat, for the Phil Taylor Jones Show this morning. And again, we want to thank Oscar Hildebrand for that, allowing us to kind of edge in on his news break. And hey, we live in a nutty, crazy world. Try to stay safe and take care. And hey, we're heading into the weekend, folks. You have a great one. Bye-bye.